was 16. I was a runaway. I'd taken a bus with my girlfriend from Chicago to California. Just took all my money in the bank and took a bus. Very spur of the moment.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, and we were just like, I want to get away, far away. How far is far? Well, the end of the coast is far. And it was actually the only place we could agree on. You know, Denver, no. Texas, no. So it was the only place we could agree on. It wasn't first choice for either of us, but it was far. And we took the bus all the way, and the last stop of the bus was near a place called the Biola Hotel in downtown LA. And downtown LA is really bad. Okay. I didn't know how bad till I got there. And we were at this seedy, terrible hotel. It's a horrible place. I mean, there were prostitutes working out of it, and we were like two white middle-class girls, you know. There was this guy, and my girlfriend remembers it to this day, that it was scarred from head to toe, and he was such a lunatic. He would say he set himself on fire every night. All right, and looking at his scars, go,
yeah,
he probably did, or at least fairly frequently.
Wow.
I mean, they were fresh on top of old, and I was so sick. So at this like weirdo place, and there's no animals allowed here. And one day we see a cat. It's this cat doing in the hallway. So we follow the cat, as you do when you're a teenager. You just do whatever you think. We follow the cat, and the cat goes to this young black girl's room, who's, you know, barely older than us. She's maybe 2 years older, really pretty girl. And who's sitting in this room but a man named Rudy Loewy. And I'm going to name him here because he's got this whole false history and resume of his history, and he's a very, very active Scientologist. And he is now has the title of Baron because he apparently inherited a castle, and you get called a Baron. But the castle seems to be part of the Scientology group, and a few other Scientologists have the title of Baron, so I'm not sure that this is really an inheritance, but that's another story. Anyway, he is a very powerful, WISE, which is World Institute of Scientology Enterprises member, very powerful member, who disguises the fact he has all this involvement with Scientology, always has and still does. Anyway, there's Rudy in the prostitute's room.
It's not looking good.
It's not looking good, Rudy. And that's how we met him, and he was just the weirdest guy because he said he came to California to be an actor. And he's dressed, and we're in the seediest hotel, and what is he dressed in? He's got like a suit and tie on, and he's got jeans on, but they're pressed with lines in them yet. You know who wears pressed jeans? And so he's like, to us he looks kind of funny, you know. But Lori thought he was cute. And and we saw that he was about as out of place in this hotel as we were, right? We still don't know to this day exactly what was going on in the prostitute's room. But that's how we got to be friends with him. Well, I'm working at this Japanese bar that I thought was just a regular restaurant. And I found out it's not. Okay, it's like there's geisha girls working there. All right, people are putting $50 in my pockets when I'm working and with phone numbers. And I'm like, so dumb, so stupid. I don't get it, all right? I really don't get it. I've never met men that were that subtle. I mean, I'm from Chicago. I didn't meet any men that were that subtle, right? Who puts money in your pocket with a phone number? I go, oh, you know, they're just trying to be good. And they, you know, they just want to date me. They're just shy. They're Japanese. Okay, keep the money, throw out the phone number. Keep the money, throw out the phone number. And the people are starting to get really angry with me when I'm working. And going, I don't know what's going on. Maybe, you know, they found out I lied about my age here. You know, here I'm slinging drinks and I'm only 16 years old, and, you know, I'm supposed to be 21. And, yeah, getting a fake ID was pretty easy because I spoke a little bit of Spanish, took it in high school. Just
Perfect.
Asked the nearest person in Mexican, where to get your identification. ¿Dónde está identificación, right? Oh, you know.
5 minutes.
It's like, take a picture. It was that fast. And here's my California ID, right? Oh man, it was so crazy. So, I'm in the middle of going from one crazy situation to another. And I go, okay. And by the time I start catching on to what's going on here, it's making me very sick. Because it's just like, oh, what am I into here? This is just so bad. And I really want another job. And here comes this weird Rudy guy showing up in the prostitute's room, right? And Rudy says he's selling steaks. I'm like, what? He's selling steaks door to door, frozen steaks for a Scientology company, but I hadn't heard of Scientology yet, called Tully Steaks. So I go and interview over there, and I'd already had a little bit of contact with Scientology. When I went to see the Stars on Hollywood Boulevard, they used to have a test center there. Mm-hmm. And I got pulled in for the personality test, and the girlfriend I ran away with, she got pulled in for it too. And do you know, they immediately tried to split us up.
Right away?
Right away.
For what reason?
Because I showed some interest in Scientology, but she was dead against it.
Oh.
So what they did is, after they did hers, they did mine. And they told me that this girl is a bad influence on you. You need to get away from her. Okay. So they planted this in my head. And I was like, no, that can't be right. But it was still sort of in the back of my head. After all, these people must know what they're talking about. They gave me official Oxford capacity analysis that was from Oxford University, but it wasn't. We know that now, but I didn't know that. Gee. So it sort of sat there in the back of my mind. We're back to being great friends again, but it really hurt our friendship back then. So here I am, and I had this secret from her, and I never told her they said that. And here's she's getting upset with California and LA too, and I'm getting upset with the seedy hotel and changes, My parents know I'm in California. They don't know exactly where I am, but they at least know I'm okay. We at least called and stuff. And I take this job with Tully Steaks because I get to drive a truck. I have no vehicle. I get this truck, right? And you pay for the rental every day. And you pay for the dry ice, and you pay for the steaks, and every box is marked something like 12 to 15 steaks or something. And if we didn't sell anything in the day, we'd take a steak out and just change the number on the box, And went door to door saying, hey, I've got this truck of frozen steaks, and I was like selling to the restaurants, but I've got an extra box or two here, and you can have these restaurant cuts for a deal today, and today only, that sort of thing. So I had my ups and downs with Tully Steaks, and every morning I'd be there, and they had the Scientologists, and I thought they were stupid. And every day I'd be there debating with the Scientologists. Okay? I loved it. I was just like there arguing with them every morning.
Wait, they would actually talk to you?
Oh, they were trying to recruit me. Oh, they after a while they were like, stay away from her, which was fine with me because I was kind of sick of being pushed. Read Dianetics. This will help your sales. It's like, shut up. Anyway, so I had my real ups and downs with sales, and it wasn't really paying the bills anymore either. So the next thing you know, Rudy disappears. He joins the Church of Scientology. They sent recruiters to Tully Steaks. I wasn't there that day. And we write him. We try calling him. Nothing. Can't get through to him. And Lori's like, I'm really worried. I go, and I'm worried too. And I go, I'm going to go over there. Well, how are you going to get there? You don't have the truck now because, they're not even giving me a truck anymore. I'm not selling any steaks. And I go, I don't know, I'll just hitchhike. And I did. I actually hitchhiked on the expressway. Crazy. All right? But, I was in that frame of mind. I'm a teen. Nobody can hurt me. Nothing wrong can happen, right? And I go, I've got a plan, right? And we work out this whole plan on how we're going to get Rudy out of there. I had no idea what it looked like. It had barbed wire fence all around the Los Angeles complex, all around it, and a guard at the gate. It looked like prison or something. And I didn't find out till years later that that gate was there as a leftover from when the complex, which is the old Cedar Sinai, was sitting there unsold for 2-3 years, so that it didn't get vandalized in that time. I didn't know that, but it just looked like the scariest, most intimidating place. And I was like, oh my God, he's being held prisoner. I better go to Extreme Plan. Okay, so Extreme Plan. Now, this is what you've got to understand. Rudy and I never dated. Rudy never dated my girlfriend. Okay? This is part of Extreme Plan. So Extreme Plan. Go to the security guard. I need to speak to Rudy Loewen. And he's like, no, you can't talk to him. He's busy. He's in class. And I go, but it's very important and it's very personal. And I look down at my tummy, right? And he's thinking, oh, I'm the observant Scientologist. I just figured this out, right? She must be saying she's pregnant, right? You know, how stupid, you know? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to get across to you, and you just bought right into it. Hook, line, and sinker. And so he's like, oh, I'll get Rudy right away. So he gets Rudy, and I'm like, Rudy, I think we're having a private talk. Guard's back's turned. Run, let's go.
You're free.
You're free, let's go. I just freed you. And he's going, but I don't want to go. I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to go? But I don't want to go. I'm enjoying it here. What? But you haven't written us. You haven't returned our phone calls. Doesn't anybody let you talk or write anybody else? Oh, I've just been busy. Now the warning bells are starting to go on here again, even though he's telling me how wonderful it is. I still got the little warning bells, but I'm ignoring them because he's telling me something different. So they decide I can't talk to Rudy any longer unless I talk to the recruiter. So I go in there to talk to the recruiter, and his name is Vic Salsa. He still works at the Church of Scientology.
Wow.
He's really slimy. Yeah, that's right, Vic. You're really slimy. And he knew straight up, because I didn't lie or hide it or anything. I was a 16-year-old runaway. Rudy told him that too. He knew this. Okay? I had really unresolved family issues, serious family issues that needed resolving. Now, a real church would be trying to resolve those. This was not a real church. Vic's intention wasn't to resolve my issues with my family. His intention was to get a recruit for Scientology and to use Rudy to get me in. So I'm there for, I don't know how many hours, 6, 7 hours, so many hours with this guy. And I'm getting hungry and I'm getting tired. And they're giving me nothing. Water. That's it. Nothing. No coffee, no juice, nothing to eat, nothing. While I'm sitting there with this recruiter. And, you know, while he's going on and on about how this is the only way that we can fix everything wrong in the world and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm smelling this phenomenal food. And he brings in this, he eats in front of me.
No.
All right? How stupid am I? All right, yeah, but I'm getting tired and I'm broke too, okay? I'm behind. I'm paying the hotel I'm at. I don't have a lot of clothes with me or anything like that. And I've got to make a decision. Do I stay in LA or do I go home? I've got to do something here. And I'm no closer to resolving anything in my home issues now as I was when I left. So he keeps bringing out this contract for 1 billion years. And I keep laughing. Like, you're kidding me. What are you talking about? You guys are so nuts. What do you mean a contract for 1 billion years? What are you, the devil? You know? And he thinks I'm just being rude and obnoxious. And I'm serious. What is this stupid thing? I'm completely serious. I'm like, well, you know this won't hold in any court of law. I said, even if it did, I'm 16. I could sign anything, right? And it doesn't matter. Because at this point, I'm thinking of, I need a place to sleep for the night, and I need to eat. okay? And that's how I ended up signing things, still laughing.
Wow.
Still laughing at that billionaire contract and thinking they're all idiots and what retards and everything else. Call my girlfriend and tell her I joined the Church of Scientology. She's got such a sense of humor. And in life she wasn't. We were both kids. And she's like, well, if you're joining the Church of Scientology, I'm joining the Moonies. And she did. She did. And she lasted like 1.5 days. She just thought one of them was cute that she'd met that week, right? And she just wanted to, and she was just trying to, whatever. And she just told off the whole group of Moonies and left, which is what I should have done. But she was a gutsy thing. And anyway, so I end up from the day I got there. For a whole year, it was just constant push, work, study. You were left too tired to think. And if you ever disagreed with something, you go, oh, you have a misunderstood word. Anyone who disagrees with anything in Scientology has a misunderstood word. And you're in these grueling word clearing sessions where you just can't argue with the idiot, and you're just like, oh, okay, obviously you're not going to let me move forward. You're not going to let me out of here. Or you're not going to let me off these cans until I say, yeah, it's all cleared up and I agree now. And the very first things you read in every course pack, every book is keeping Scientology working in technical degrades.
Case
1,
review.
having the technology. 2, knowing it is correct. Applying correctly the correct technology. And you're just like, okay. So for months, I'm reading this stuff and just going, he's off his rocker. This Elrond is off his rocker. But here and there were some good bits in it. And that's the thing about Scientology. There's so many bits in it that you can't agree with that you go, oh yeah, that's just like a self-evident truth. And was such a talented writer that you go and you assume the rest is true. Because you agree with this and that and that. And then suddenly you find yourself going, oh, I guess everything he says must be true then. And for me, and that's how I started agreeing to the schedule I was on. I mean, I was a kid, and I'm being used for manual labor, hard manual labor. I'm getting put inside vents that a normal adult can't squeeze through. And I can barely squeeze through. I get stuck in them half the time. I'm in these vents to clean out the dirt and the fiberglass with this tiny little white mask and a lantern that only has a plastic back that always melts off because it's a hot bulb, too hot for the lantern, and it always melts off the other part. So I've got all these little burns all over my hands from where I was stuck and couldn't move the bulb out of the way.
Jeez.
I hated the vents. And my first day, they made me get in the ceiling. They were like, you get in there. I'm like, no, I'm not. Oh, yes, you are. No, I'm not. And I was claustrophobic, too. I'm not getting in there. And there'd be like 4 or 5 people surrounding me. My first day, you're getting in there. Or you're going to ethics. I know nothing about Scientology. This is my first day. My first day. I don't even know what ethics is. And then they start talking to each other and deciding, we argued for like 2 hours. I'm not getting in that ceiling. I'm not getting inside. I'm not crawling inside there. And finally, somebody said that to overcome my fear of being in closed places, that was the right thing to do. Now, there is some truth to that, but actually that's not Scientology anyway. That's behavioral psychology, and that's a very extreme form of it. But I can't say I ever totally got over my fear of closed places, and that getting stuck in there made it worse sometimes. And I got in these vents, and there was fiberglass all over the ceilings, and I'd wear the same dirty mask. They wouldn't even replace our masks, okay? Same dirty mask, day in, day out. And, mostly we didn't have goggles. Sometimes we did, sometimes we didn't. They just and a shortage of goggles, so your eyes aren't protected either. And I spent 6-7 weeks inside those pitch black vents with nothing but that light. And it's a horrible feeling to get stuck in one of those.
Oh, yeah.
The more you move your shoulders and the more tensed up you get, of course, the more stuck you get. And the only thing I think sometimes that got me out was just freaking out so much that I'd break out in sweat.
Wow.
And that would make me be able to maneuver because now I was just too sweaty to be stuck anymore. Oh God, that was horrible. Anyway, so I was in the vents like 6 weeks. And he had not seen daylight in that 6 weeks. So I get out one day, I finally have a Saturday off, finally. And I go outside and I can't see.
Jeez.
Everything just looked white. And I was like, oh my God, my eyes, they hurt. And I was like, and I'd have done enough Scientology training by then to have been taught, because it's one of the first things you're taught, that if you're sick or hurt, that means you are PTS. That's a potential trouble source. And the only reason people are a potential trouble source is they're connected to a person who's a suppressive person. And the only people that are suppressive people are the ones that are against Scientology. All right, now I'm giving very short definitions, but that's what it is. So, I had never experienced any sort of physical disability in my life. And 16 years old, and I'm like, I don't want to be PTS, okay? That's a bad thing. I don't want to be PTS. So I'm like, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm just going to open my eyes little by little. I'll be okay. Rudy was there with me. Rudy had joined the Guardian's office, what's now OSA,
Yep.
Office of Special Affairs, that legally protects the Church of Scientology and does all the dirty work and everything that too. But he had just joined, so he was still naive yet. And
About what year is this?
this was in 1977 or early 78.
Okay.
Okay. And in the back of my mind is this, here I am, a teenager, it's like, I can't see, temporarily, right? But the song's funny, but this is not funny, right? I'm like, no, I'll be okay. I can't, because, this can't be happening. And I actually got permanent damage from that.
Oh my gosh.
To this day, I have this really slow dilation of pupils from light to dark and dark to light. Much slower than normal people do, probably 2-3 times the speed of that. And my vision is very much poorer at night. For example, there's things, during the day I can read a lot of things without glasses. Especially in sunlight, I can read a lot of things without glasses. But at night, forget it. And I'm up to the, the 3s or the 2.5s. That's the difference between night and day in my sight. But it affects me, I could get bifocals, special bifocals for that, but bifocals are something you can almost train yourself to do and all that. But that experience with events was like something out of the Industrial Revolution. And this is going on right now in America.
Yeah.
They still use the kids to do all kinds of dirty work and things that are illegal. And they're allowed because they're a church. Now, I don't know where the idea came about that churches don't have to follow the law. But I don't believe that's true. And at any rate, not in regards to children, especially because they don't know any better. They just don't know.
The Sea Org, they always make the Sea Org out to be their elite organization. But here you are, 16, you've never had any kind of Scientology course, didn't really
Right.
know much about Scientology, and they're signing you up for the Sea Org,
Right,
and they take you.
right.
That just blows my mind.
They recruited lots of people that were just extremely green Scientologists or even never did Scientology, and some of them were just crims. I mean, my first 2 weeks there, I had just every bit of jewelry robbed from me.
But most,
From my roommates or from people in the classroom, I don't know who, and nobody was interested. Nobody was interested in doing any kind of investigation to find out because this went on all the time.
Do you think there was a lot of kids recruited kind of in a similar situation as you? It sounds like.
Yeah,
Sounds
but
like
that
there
was
is.
part of my attraction to it. There were young people like me there. So many young people. Just from age 16 to 25. And that was the majority of the recruits. So yeah, everybody's got problems in their life. Scientology didn't resolve my problems. What it did was take that wedge between my family and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. They would try to reach me. I wouldn't be giving the phone calls. They would write me. My letters were censored. And my family started getting very heartbroken personally. Because they're only human too.
It's understandable.
They're like going, we loved her, we raised her, we cared for her. Does she not love us?
Right.
How could she treat us like this? And this I didn't realize till years later after I got out. That, they were experiencing such heartbreak over me. My brothers and sisters, my parents, everybody.
Of course.
And not to say there weren't real situations in my life, but my guilt for how I treated my family in that time, my guilt was huge afterwards. And when I first came out, I blamed them that they, I couldn't go to them, they wouldn't be supportive, but later I learned, that's what the cult did. It broke those relationships and led me to believe for years that the reason I ever had problems in my life is because someone or other in my family was a suppressive person. And this is just a joke. Because I go on for years in my auditing my counseling in Scientology, years of this, on who is the suppressive person in my family. So 1 year it's a brother, and 1 year it's a sister, 1 year it's my mother, and 1 year, and then, years later I'm like, none of that made any sense. You think about it when you can, when you've had enough rest, when you had enough time away, when you've had a chance to talk to people who aren't Scientologists, when you can, and you go, wait a minute, I've named all these people, maybe it's not any of that. So there were always the doubts. There were always the doubts for me all the way through. But I didn't feel I had somewhere to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer I stayed in, the more my young years were wasted, the years I should have been going to college. I hadn't even finished high school. So what kind of job am I going to get? Work at McDonald's?
Did you?
And I saw my future outside of Scientology becoming more and more bleak.
Diminishing.
Right.
Yeah.
And my future in looked brighter and brighter. Because, I'm more experienced, I'm more trained now, I'm more this now.
Speaking of training, did you do the APF?
Yeah. In fact, I was part of the crew that trained the APF.
Oh, okay. But they get you working right away. And then eventually, at some point, it's kind of like a boot camp, right?
Right. That's when I was doing the vents, was on the APF.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I went from vents to nanny,
Okay.
and I volunteered for the nanny.
Okay. To get away from the vents, or once you completed the EPF, then they assign you, right?
Well, my APF took forever because I got pulled off on missions. I went on 2 missions while I was on the APF.
Oh, okay.
They would do that. The Commodore's Messenger organization, which was like the senior management organization that's supposed to be directly under L. Ron Hubbard, they would come and grab an EPFer in the middle of the night or right after class and say, "You're going on mission."
Wow.
And there were only specific reasons why you couldn't accept a mission, and I didn't know what they were. So, you know, you don't learn that until after you train on the missionary class, which I, you know. Oh.